Hey everyone, I want to start out this episode of Bowling with the Fef by saying curse you, COVID-19. That's a kind of I guess a comic booked version of me last week when unfortunately I was down here in the basement isolating from my family because of COVID-19. I also missed the Wisconsin USBC Open Championships because of that. It's kind of lousy, but it beat me down a little bit. It did not break me, and because of that, we're here once again with a very special episode of Bowling with the Fef that starts right now.
Bowling with the Fef.
I encourage you to get fat.
What? All things the game of bowling.
Helping bowlers.
The hand collapses down.
And I'm going to try to bowl the best I can.
1,000 subscribers.
And I want to challenge Ted Nelson.
Tom Corbin.
Jason Belmonte.
Yes, sir. A very special episode on a Tuesday evening. Welcome everyone to the show. The show where you get to share your unique bowling story live on our YouTube platform. And it's a different kind of show tonight because if you're watching this live, you have a chance to win. We have a giveaway tonight. And if you stick with me, you're going to find out how to enter. It's not often that we have a giveaway on this show, but thanks to the generosity of Mr. Baker, one lucky live viewer is going to receive a code to get them the Games Changed video series for a one-hander or a two-hander. Excellent stuff, and certainly looking forward to seeing who the lucky recipient of that is going to be. Connor Brown in the house saying, hey, Fef, and Nico as well. Again, if you're like those two and are watching this live, remember to utilize that live chat right below the video window. And Derek Michaud here live as well. Hey, buddy. Hey, Derek. Good to see you. If you are watching on replay, unfortunately, you won't have a chance to win, but there's still going to be a lot of great content here for you to consume. And I hope you enjoy it. Well, David Boog Kroll is now a PBA champion. He defeated Bill O'Neill and Thomas Kauka to secure the PBA Delaware Classic. Boog mentioned in a post-match interview that he got a couple breaks along the way, and he did, but listen, people, 10 is 10, and he won the matches he needed to win to take home the title and that trophy. He is, as I mentioned, the latest of the 2024 PBA champions. There they are, the touring champions. Bill O'Neill, the first. Kyle Troop, a couple of titles in there, and our latest, Mr. Boog. This weekend is All-Star Weekend on the PBA Tour. It's over in Arizona with a skills showdown at 5 p.m. Wisconsin time on Friday, and the PBA Legacy Cup on Saturday at noon Wisconsin time. Both of those events are in FS1. And then you've got the PBA NASCAR Invitational on Sunday at noon on Big Fox. So a lot to look forward to there in the PBA, even though it's All-Star Weekend, kind of a midway thing. Derek says I should feel important because he's watching me and the Bruins, and I do because I know how important the Bruins are to you, buddy. Connor says it was fun to watch him. Got to be there in the audience in Delaware. That's got to be a great experience for you. I know you were looking forward to that. And yeah, get rid of that cold. One of these days, we're working on it. We are definitely working on it. I do want to remind everybody about the merch store pre-sale going on right now. It's up and running. T-shirts and hoodies, several adult sizes available at bit.ly/BWTF presale, all lowercase. It is case sensitive, and that runs through March 17th of this year. And as always, Bowling with the Fef brought to you by Chip Magnet Salsa, based in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. They distribute to stores all over the place, more than 38 states and Canada. And if you're ordering online and you spend more than $30, have we got a deal for you? Enter this code BWTF2024 at checkout. You get 25% off your purchase of $30 or more with no limit. ChipMagnetSalsa.com is the address. Chip Magnet, raise your snack standards. And thank you so much to the folks at Chip Magnet for sponsoring bowling and Bowling with the Fef. Sam says there it is, the cup. He was the big winner this week. And again, congratulations to him. What a moment for Dave Boog Kroll. All right, so our guest tonight is one of the best-known coaches in bowling. Simply put, he was one of the biggest names on the PBA Tour in the mid-1980s, racking up 4 titles, out-averaging everyone on tour in 1985. After leaving the tour, he started helping other bowlers reach new heights and recently released a video series called The Game's Changed. There it is right now. You can find that video series at his website, markbakerbowling.com, and it has been a popular thing among bowlers of all skill levels these days. And tonight he is joining us from the Westpac Training Center in California. The man, Mark Baker. How you doing, Mark?
Good, Fef. How are you doing?
Very good. Thank you so much for taking the time. And we're going to, ask you all about that video, of course. In fact, I want to start there. You recently said on Beef and Barnsey, this thing has gone out to 25 different countries. That's got to be a thrill to know that so many bowlers are reaping the benefits of these videos.
Yeah, it's been an amazing, man, it took a lot of work to get it done. I talked to you last March when we were in Minnesota.
Yep.
And I just started the process. Man, I don't know if I'd have gone through with it if I'd have known what it was going to take. It was a lot of things went wrong, but we got it done. And now the nice part is the people that have bought it love it. The response has been unbelievable. Like I said, it's all over. It's been looked at in like 60 countries. So I didn't know bowling was quite that big. It was looked at in Slovakia and Slovenia. So yeah, Vietnam has bought it. And so it's all kinds of crazy places. All 50 states have bought it. So obviously it's doing pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. So we've got a bunch of comments here already. Jeffrey Herman says he's checked out both videos. Excellent content with some new ideas since Game Changer book. A definite must if you're a two-hander. The best breakdown of this style he's seen to date. And this is kind of a special thing because we haven't seen a whole lot of two-handed instruction in the past.
That was the main focus of doing. I was just going to do a two-handed instructional video to start. But I thought, well, I coach for a living. Whoever comes through my door, I say, sorry, you're one-handed. I'm not going to coach you. Still, most of my clients are one-handed. So that's when it became a dual project, the one-handed and the two-handed. And like Jeffrey just said, I had to come up with some new stuff in the one-handed. So it wasn't me just, doing the same thing over and putting it on video. And the two-handed, nobody's ever tried. And I went right to the top. I have Anthony Simonson and Jason Belmonte. So arguably the two best two-handers who ever lived. And I break their games down individually. And I also break their games down what they actually do a lot alike, because people think they don't do anything alike. When you get to the front, you start watching them the last couple steps. To have their track record in majors, there had to be some things they did the same, and I kind of proved that in the video.
Yeah. My wife, Mrs. Pfeff, is always frustrated because she was not a bowler when she met me. She was a 2-sport athlete in high school, actually 3-sport, volleyball and track and field and basketball. She's like, there is a technique to do these sports, and that's it. But with bowling, you can get there all different kinds of ways, and it's just not something that computes.
Well, I agree with that somewhat, but if you break them down kind of the way I do, there are certain markers. Like in my one-handed video was Dave Husted, Daniel McEwen, and Chris Prather. So I had a senior, a current guy, and a current female, and they all bowl completely different. But when you stop them at very specific spots, their markers do match. So I really wanted to show people that you could bowl a lot of different styles, and these markers will help you do the two things every bowler wants the most. I want to be more consistent, and I want my scores to go up. Bottom line, I want to knock down more pins. So I really went out of my way to show how you could do that one-handed also.
For sure. Laura Justman says, hey, Mark, is that somebody you know?
That might be the best cooking bowler I've ever met in my life. She is a very nice lady. She used to live in San Fernando Valley. Now she's moved up to Lake Tahoe, and I miss my bagels and my brisket.
Okay.
She's the best.
All right. Derek says, hey, Bakes. And Connor Brown says, hey, Mark, your videos have helped me a ton with my game. So, yeah, certainly wide reaching.
Just love to hear it, Connor. Thank you so much. the emails and texts I get about the video, some are so good that I can't even post them because it looks like I made them up.
Yeah.
So the part that seems to have the most feedback, I did a little 6-minute video for seniors, who I call them the well-seasoned player, and I made it for free because 30% of my customers are senior bowlers.
Mm-hmm.
I thought nobody's ever done anything for them. Everybody wants to do it for the high rev rate and throw it from left gutter to right gutter. Well, a big part of our bowling industry is senior bowlers. So I thought something should be done for them. So I brought in Dave, and we went through the do's and the don'ts for the well-seasoned player. And I've gotten more feedback from senior players saying I basically saved their game because they were doing everything the opposite of what I thought. And so they started doing things a little different, and their body doesn't hurt. They can bowl more, and they're knocking down more pins, which is the bottom line.
Yeah. And we're all going to be seniors eventually, right?
The big boy, I turned 63 in about 23 days. There's no stopping Father Time. He's undefeated.
That's right. Yeah, for sure. So great stuff there. Derek says he's been told that he has the weirdest style ever.
I don't know about that. There's some styles out there that are they're all unique and they're all different. So it's not that big a deal. I've never been stumped. I've never seen anybody bowl like I can't help you. I've never seen that. Some are just a little different than others, and when you break it down on film, it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
You got to hit a target. You got to be in balance. And you got to get your ball to hit that 1-3 or 1-2 in a certain way.
For sure. He says he has such a problem getting his hand around the side of the ball with his one step. Any advice?
I don't tend to give a lot of advice on texts. I'm a professional coach, and I need to see with my own 2 eyes, or else I'm just guessing, and I don't guess. So sorry about that, but it's not. It's just not what I do. And part of what I do for a living is fix people who got bad advice from other people. So I don't tend to do that. I try to really not just throw something against the wall trying to sound smart. I've never seen you bowl. It's a tricky thing. So that's why I do virtual lessons, and my virtual lessons have really expanded since the video came out. If I can see you throw 4 or 5 shots on a video, I can usually come up with a game plan to help you get better or the things you want. But I just don't tend to randomly answer questions like that.
Sure. Makes sense. I do have a piece of video that I want you to kind of break down a little bit for us, though. And this happened about a week and a half ago. And I'm sure you know this well because you've seen it before. That's your son. And, a big thank you to the folks at the Junior Bowlers Tour Southwest for letting us use this video. But tell us about this. What's he doing here?
Well, there he's giving it I got it left. He's giving it the pushback, like, please, God, lay off. So I wasn't there. We were texting back and forth. He was struggling and he needed to shoot 250 the last game to make the cut. And obviously he just bowled 300. He had a 296 where he went light, and he had a 298 where he went light. So when I talked to him later, he goes, that last shot was not going light. I didn't care if it went Brooklyn. I was not leaving another 2 pin. So, my son's 14. He just bowled his first 300. And the nice part was that jumped him into the finals. Then he went undefeated in match play. Then he ran the tables and thing. So he parlayed that into his first scratch win in the JBT. So there's nobody prouder than his son than I am. So I'm just so happy, Gage. He's on the phone getting ready to call me. So keep watching him right here. So they're making fun of him. Watch when he gets a hold of me and he starts telling me both 300. Yeah. You're going to see him turn real quick and throw his hands in the air. He's going to go right there, right? You're the worst. So here's what I said. Here's a coach and a dad walking that fine line.
Yeah.
So he's been complaining for 2 days.
Okay.
No carry, no carry, no carry. He's, hey, Dad, I need a miracle 250. I can't get the 10 out. I'm like, 10 pins are good shots. 9 spares a good frame all weekend. He's not buying in. I went, dude, if you hit the pocket enough times, sooner or later they all fall.
Yeah.
So he calls me. He's all excited. Dad, I bowled 300. So what I said to him on the phone was, Jeff Hemmer, who is the great director of the JBT, I said, did you complain enough for 2 solid days that Jeff let you bowl the last game no tap? So you're the worst, Dad. I'm proud of you, but how many balls hit the 1-3? They all did. All right, just keep it in the 1-3.
Yeah, for sure.
So you got to keep that younger generation in line, and I'm doing my job.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Nobody's happier or prouder than his son than I am.
Sure. Congratulations, Gage, and happy to be able to see that piece of video, of course. Laura says, this 70-year-old has benefited from Mark's lessons, and especially since the video. So, yeah, a senior right there. And that brings up an interesting point, again, from Beef and Barnsey. You were saying that when somebody asked, how, am I too old to convert from one-handed to two-handed? You were saying somebody in their 70s has done that.
Yep, I got a guy in Florida that's done it. I've got a couple guys in their 60s that have done it pretty well. So I'm not sure they get a lot better, but they bowl different. If you've been bowling one style for 30 years and you were 200, now you're 190, now you're 180, now you're 170 because Father Time is undefeated, and they take up two-handed for one, it's a challenge, and number two, it's different parts of their body. But more importantly, most of these bowlers have thrown it pretty straight all their life. They learn to bowl with white dots and yellow dots and black balls. So now rubber balls. Now they're having their ball hook more, so their scores are more erratic, but they definitely throw more 4-baggers, 5-baggers, and 6-baggers. And so it seems to like it's brought a new life to them. It's something new they have to practice. The other way, if they were going to get good, they would have got good by now. So now they're trying to hang on, is how I perceive it. This is new. It makes me practice. I drill different equipment. I play the lanes completely different than I've ever played before. I've never slid in the left gutter and tried to get it right a 5 down lane. So it's kind of new to them. And when it goes right, they do like that the ball shape is more closely to what they see on TV, whether it's Tackett or Belmo or Simo. They see that giant shape and the pins hit different. So I see why they do it. I mean, everybody asks me the same thing. If I was a kid again, would I bowl two-handed? I'm like, I'd be all over it. I was 6'3", 180, and I was a pretty damn good athlete. I was a little better athlete than most. I would have been all over that 600 rev rate with 22 miles an hour.
Sure.
I'd have given Jesper all he wanted. I was way more intense than Jesper ever was. So I would have let everybody know about my 600 rev rate every time I carried. If I give it a two-hander, oh my God, I would have pissed off every one-hander in the world. Every time I carried a messenger, I'd let them know.
Yeah.
So I just think, two-handed is kind of cool, but then I have a lot of one-handers that are just as good. So I have no preference one way or the other. I coach them both, and they're both got their same unique styles I have to deal with and things I have to work on. But it's two completely different ways of coaching. So I really enjoy the yin and the yang of one and two-handed.
Yeah. Yeah. JP wants to know, Mark, have you noticed any similarities on follow-throughs of elite players?
Yes, with the advent of the lanes opening up and the balls hooking like they do and the way they want to add rotation late, it seems like most follow-throughs now go through somebody's face. Almost all the follow-throughs are through your face, actually over your left shoulder, because they're so open and their hands are going forward and coming over the top as they unload. Their follow-throughs have to go a little bit, if you're right-handed, your follow-through has to go in front of your face a little bit left. Because they're so open, if they follow through like I did back in the day where you're right of your arm, they would just throw in the gutter immediately, or they would dead pull it. So you're seeing the difference in the follow-throughs are much more, even all my bowlers that come to the training center, many, many more follow-throughs now go right through the middle of their face. I think that is the follow-through now.
Interesting. You brought up the training center, and I didn't want to lose sight of that just because oftentimes we see you, kind of through this view of the training center. Mm-hmm. What is it and what does it have and do that, makes you able to optimize what you do?
Well, during COVID, California shut down pretty hard. And a friend of mine, Lee Haxton, owns a business here, and he had built a two-lane basic training center for mechanics. My left lane is an AFMF machine. My right lane's a Brunswick machine. So he built 2 lanes up to train mechanics wherever you got a job. He could fast track it, and then he sells all the parts. So he called me during the COVID. We came in, we had a talk. Hey, can we make a training center out of it? 6 months to about almost a year later, we installed Specto and we installed Strike Seeker. So most people have one or the other. I have both. So it's quiet, it's private, it's me and you. There's no music, there's nobody next to you. They don't put a birthday party next to us. So people throw a lot more shots. They threw a lot more shots during a lesson. But every shot, you can look at the Specto numbers. Every shot, I can replay you up to 10 times. We can stop it watching the ball shape. We can watch it where your release is. We can watch your ball going through the pins. Bowlers, especially in today's world, 2024, I think everybody's visual now. Not because of you're not auditory or you're not a book reader, just because the way our world has changed, everything's a screen, a phone, a tablet. So we're all visual. So if they can see themselves, and it's from a different view, the Strike Seeker I have is from the front view, like on my videos. So they're seeing themselves from a different position. And so there's no guesswork on video. There's no, hey, I think I did this. Well, here's what it did. Yeah. And it allows me to do two things. When I give a lesson in a bowling center, I'm usually going to film 3 or 4 shots out of an hour, 5 shots maybe. Because I'm trying to watch you bowl. And if I'm filming, I'm not really watching. Here, I get to see all the shots. So instead of focusing on what you're doing wrong, now I spend way more time on looking at the markers of what you do right. Hey, you've thrown 6 shots. 4 were excellent. Those 4 have this marker, and this marker. Let's try to do those 3 things every time. And next thing you know, the consistency number goes through the roof. So they just love coming here. So it's worked out very well.
Are we, and I say we because I live in an area where there isn't a training center. I asked this to Wesley Lowe over the summer too, because he talks about the B3 training center a lot. Are we at a disadvantage because we don't have a facility like that near us and therefore able to go to a facility like that? Or is there a way to almost replicate that? You
know what? I've had a lot of people that have come here, Southern California, the socioeconomics of out here, we have people with a little bit of money. Yeah. Everywhere's got people with money. But I've had at least 3 different people that have thought about, hey, because what's going on is bowling came back after COVID with a giant resurgence. Yeah. It's actually kind of hard to get open play lanes now. They're full all the time. And I want them to make as much money as possible as they can because I don't want them to close. Yeah. So I know in the San Fernando Valley, I know a guy down in San Diego, North County, they call it. They're looking into it. I think in the next 5 years, you may see a lot of these. I think you're going to see little 4 lanes or 6 lanes where I can give lessons on 2. People can put up whatever pattern they want on 2. And then you have a pro shop in there, a dedicated pro shop. They're drilling balls and they can go watch everything, get the PAP exactly the way I want it. I think you're going to see, because a lot of centers are still closing, so there's a lot of spare parts and a lot of machines that you can use. If the situation presents itself, I think you might see more of these popping up around the country because people that are still hardcore bowlers, they want to bowl. Yeah. So in some of the centers, it's pretty, the fees to practice are pretty high. So what I charge 140 hour isn't seemed as high because it's $60 to practice half the other places. So they're getting a lesson for basically half price. Yeah. So I think there might be, it would take a few bucks and you got to be in it so you're going to break even, not get rich. But I think you might see some of these popping up around the country.
That would be great. Yeah. Like I said, I speak for a lot of the people who don't have one nearby. So I hope you're right about that. Connor says, congratulations to Gage on the 300. That is some awesome bowling. We have a nice name here, Mr. Larry Gray. He says he's competed against Mark since 1979 here on the West Coast. He's still a very good friend and was a fantastic bowler, but he may be an even better coach. Do you ever wonder if you were
a guy who grew up in Southern California? That's about as good as compliment as you can get. Yeah. Larry was the guy that I banged headwits the most when I bowled at home. Larry and I probably won the most, and we battled each other pretty hard a long time. And he was my toughest competitor by far. One of the best bowlers. If you're back into bowling in the late '70s, he made a couple shows at Gable House. He was affectionately known. He was from Torrance, California, so he was affectionately known as Lawrence from Torrance. So I think he made 2 shows at Gable House. So Larry was one of the better bowlers I ever bowled against, from juniors all the way up through adult. So he's a good guy. So if I'm a better coach, that's been my goal. I want to be known as a coach more than a bowler. So I think coaching is what I'm better at. I was a pretty good bowler. I think I'm a better coach. I sure enjoy it more. Yeah. I had days where I bowled good on tour. I made 27 shows or 28 shows and I won 4 times. I was miserable half the week because I bowl bad. I don't have many miserable days coaching. They're all pretty good. I don't have many bad days on lanes. Maybe 1 or 2 a year I'll be in a bad mood. But for the most part, the people are so nice and they're so engaged and they want to get better and they're willing to listen. And I got so many regulars and new people. Coaching it energizes me. Bowling it got to be a job at the end for me. I wasn't quite good enough to really make a lot of money. So it was always, should I go on tour? Should I stay home? And I did fairly well, but it's a hard road to hoe. I enjoy coaching much more.
Sure. Take us back. Give us kind of a Cliff's Notes version of your bowling story, kind of how you got into it and how you made that journey to the highest of highs, the PBA Tour.
I kept score. My parents got divorced. I needed something to do. I walked into a bowling alley one day. The boys club in Garden Grove was closed. I was a jock. I played basketball every day, no days off in basketball. And they had a girls volleyball tournament going on. And the guy, Fred, said, sorry, Mark, you can't play basketball all weekend. So now I'm kind of aimlessly walking up and down Garden Grove Boulevard with my basketball. I stopped in Champion Lanes to get some water, drinking fountain. No bottled waters back then. And the lady at the front desk said, do you know how to keep score? I said, of course I can. I can add 10 plus 9. How hard can it be? So a guy was bowling. I remember his name, Leonard Baniak. Nice man. I kept score for 2 games, 210, 190. I don't know why I remember this stuff. And she goes, do you want to stay and keep score tonight in league? I go, how does that work? She goes, well, if you stay here and keep score, we'll give you $1 a bowler to sit here and keep score. I'm like, you're going to give me $8 to just sit here for 2.5 hours. So I kept score. She goes, and you want to come back on Monday. So I told my mom, you're not going to believe this. They're going to pay me to keep score. So I kept score pretty much 5 nights a week. Now I walked into the luckiest place ever, Champion Lanes in Garden Grove, California. The owner did not believe in handicap leagues. It was pretty much all scratch leagues. So I never had to do handicaps. It was just the who's who of Southern California bowl there. Barry Asher, Butch Smith, Mike McGrath, Kevin Gannon. I mean, the best bowlers, Butch Soper, Anne-Marie Dugan, Virginia Norton. We had the cream of the crop at one bowling alley. It just happens to be near my house. So I kept score for 2 years before I ever bowled.
Wow.
And I bowled an adult junior league with my mom, and she beat me 142 to 141 on average, and she would not let up on it. My all-star son can't beat his mom. So I got pissed off, and I became 180 in about 3 months.
Wow.
And then I became 210 the next year, and 24 months later, I went on tour. So I figured it out in about 5 years.
That's incredible.
Then I went on tour, and Earl Anthony, Mark Roth, and Marshall Holman and Wayne Webb just crowbarred me.
Yeah.
That was a rough start. Those guys were so much better than everybody else that it was eye-opening how bad I was, and I could bowl a little bit compared to them. So my first couple of years were nothing to get excited about, but I ended up figuring it out and staying on tour, and had some very lucky conversations with Roth and Earl to make me a better bowler, and that's kind of how I became successful, I think.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite of any of those conversations with those two greats?
I crossed with Earl in 81 in Milwaukee. You bowl 3 sets of 6, and it took I was 1 under, and I needed to cash that week to go to the next week. And I crossed with Earl a lot. I was a hothead. They put me on Earl's pair, I thought, a lot, because if I was with Earl, I never got mad. Because you can't get mad because there's like 90 fans in the bowling alley in the morning. Well, 88 were on Earl's pair. And you don't want to get Earl Anthony mad at you. So I was always under my best behavior when I bowled with Earl. So I think they stuck me with Earl every week so I wouldn't get mad. But the lanes were brutal. I had a 279, I had a 289, and I had a 299. And it took even to cash, and I was 1 under.
Wow.
So I had my 3 good games were 267 over.
Yeah.
The other 15 games, I couldn't get out of my own way. So I get done, I'm sitting there with Earl. He's with me. What do you need? I need to cash to go the next week. And last check is 0. I'm like, I'm 1 under. He put his arm around me. He goes, kid, you got to go home and learn how to get 9. I'm like, what does that mean? He goes, well, it's a long drive back to California. By the time you get there, I hope you figure it out. That's all he said. So I got so mad. I drove home in my lens and my name shirt. I didn't change out of what I wore to bowl the last squad. I was so hot.
Whoa.
I packed my car, went to the hotel, packed my little Datsun 310, all my crap in Milwaukee, nonstop to Garden Grove, California. And when I hit the Arizona-California border, I went, oh, my bad shots don't get 9. My bad shots get 6.
Yeah.
When I have a shot, I strike like there's nobody else on tour. Mm-hmm. But my bad shots are so bad, I can't. Those guys were like Mark Roth, always shot 190 his bad game. Earl always shot 190. So I went home and toned things down. I didn't stop striking less, but I got much more consistent, and I learned how to get 9 more often. Not that I was a great spare shooter, but I was saying, I came on tour the next year. I started, I made a couple shows, and the rest took care of itself.
Wow.
So Earl had he just said it in a way that made sense. It took a long time, 2,500 miles of driving, but your bad shots on tour have to get 9 more than 6. Okay. And at the time I could get 6 or a strike, and you can't make money.
Sure.
So that was it. And then Mark Roth changed my outlook on bowling. We were bowling together, and I roomed with him 1 year in 85, my best year. Dave Husted, my roommate for the whole time on tour. His wife decided to come on tour with Dave for a year. So I had to find a new roommate, and I hooked up with Mark Roth. So that was different, but Mark was such a nice guy. It was easy. And I had made probably my 4th or 5th finals in a row in Kansas City. I shot a big last game to get like 22nd. So, they announce your name, and he's leading, of course. We get in the car, and the rent-a-car was every week. This was his week, but he didn't like to drive. So I drove. So when you're in the bowling alley, yeah, kind of cool. So we get in the car. I punched the ceiling in the car about 4 times. And there's Mark like, why are you hitting my car? Like, I made the finals. And he goes, so what? I'm like, what do you mean, so what? And he goes, it's your job. Your job's top 24. If you can't beat the other guys on tour, you should go home. There's only 30 guys any good on tour. I never heard anybody ever talk like that. And he goes, you mean to tell me you can't beat 6 guys a week? Just figure out the 6 you got to beat. The other 23, we're always going to make it. If you can't make 50%, go home and get a real job. And I'm like, he's blowing back my hair. I've already got a title. I made a couple shows. And he goes, so now that you made the finals, what's your goal? I said, I got to go, 6-2 to 9. He goes, no, you don't. You got one job from now on in the finals. I go, what's that? And he goes, this fifth. You got to be fifth. I'm like, but you're never fifth. You're always first. He goes, because I'm trying to be fifth. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, the 3 games to go. I'm never leading, but I shoot 660 the last 3. I win 2, and somebody gives it back to me, and I lead. I go, why is fifth so big deal? And I'll never forget this as long as I live. He goes, kid, remember this. He takes a cigarette, because you can't win from 6th. And the guy who won the most, Mark Roth. So I'll never forget that. Your job is to be 5th. If you're 5th, it doesn't matter if you're 4th, 3rd, 2nd, or 1st, you have a chance to win. So that's why I think Mark qualified so high so many times. He was never sweating it. Once he got a couple hundred at a 5th, Mark always looked relaxed with 3 to go. And most of us were like, losing our minds. Didn't affect Roth. He was going to be higher than 5th because you can't win from 6th.
Yeah.
Best advice I ever got. And I ended up making 14 shows the next 3 years.
Yeah. And then
I made a boatload of top 24. I ended up making 23 finals that year. I almost made them all. I was just convinced that I was just going to make it. I didn't care what happened. So he changed. I never thought like that. So Mark Roth and Earl, they just thought different than everybody else. I was never that good, obviously, but they definitely helped my career.
Yeah. And then Belmo, who's done next to everything, proves them wrong. You can win from 6th, right?
Yeah, he can win from 17th or whatever, the 10th or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, Belmo's proved a lot of people wrong doing a lot of things. He's pretty. To me, Belmo and Roth are the 2 unicorns of my career. Okay. You've got 2 guys with the most power that can hit a target.
Yeah.
So Roth changed the game big time. Every kid in the late 70s was going to bowl like Mark Roth. Yeah. Until you tore your thumb really good, then we all tried to bowl like Holman.
Yep.
But Roth was like, that's what I want to do because it was cool. And then I think Jason, when he came out, started doing really, really well, getting the first couple players of the year. I think a whole generation of kids went, that's cool. His ball hooks the most. He's on TV the most. I'm doing that. So I think Mark Roth and Jason Belmonte are the 2 unicorns of bowling of the last 50, 60 years.
Yeah, for sure. BSJ83 says, does Mark do virtual lessons for bowlers of all levels, i.e. amateurs like me, who just bowled a new high game 155 this past weekend?
I do about 20 or 30 virtual lessons a month.
Okay.
You go to my website, markbakerbowling.com. You click on the virtual lessons. There's a whole tutorial, how to hold your phone, where to film from, how to fill out the form. There's 4 different types of lessons you can take with the finances in it. So yes, I do a lot of virtual lessons. Lately, I've been doing a lot more virtual lessons. So yes, I do enjoy them. So go to the website, click on that, follow everything, all the prompts, and no problem.
Sure. Greg says, great show, Fef and Bakes. What is the most common issue you see when working with 2-handers?
They all have early timing. Okay. I measure timing in a very specific spot, basically the Belmo logo. And then Simo match there, Vi matches there. They all match in the same place, Kyle. So most 2-handers I get when their slide foot gets flat in front of their head, their swings aren't their left arm. I measure the opposite arm, not the right. I measure the left, opposite of a 1-hander. So their arms are all parallel to the ground when their slide foot gets in front of their head. And almost every 2-hander that walks in the door, their left arm is about 45 degrees because most 2-handers don't have a good start. They try to get too low too soon. They misinterpret Anthony, I think. Anthony tilts, but he doesn't drop his hips. And Jason doesn't bend his knees the first 3 steps. When their balls go back is when your head should go down. That creates height in your backswing. Then your slide gets ahead of your arms. Then your right leg's your power source, not your right shoulder. So a bunch of people with high rev rates, slow ball speed, and they don't know where it's going. That'd be the most common miss for 2-handers.
Gotcha. When you were, deciding, like you said, that bowling was kind of becoming a business, bowling on tour, and you didn't really want to do it anymore, was there something that kind of turned the tide for you?
Yeah, I had major back surgery. I wasn't going to quit the tour. I tried to quit it a couple times, and my mom would I don't think you want to come home and get a job. You're making $100,000 a year, working 30 weeks, and you don't really seem to work very hard at it. And then I would complain about, I never forget, I tried to complain about being on tour once in the paddock, like, I've just had enough. I just can't do this anymore. I'll never forget, Jeff Bellinger walked over and said, you know what? If you're willing to go home and never come back, I'll buy you a first-class ticket anywhere in the world. If you leave and never come back, I'm like, why would you do that? And he goes, because I'm tired of losing to you while you complain. Oh, maybe I'll shut my mouth and bowl for another year or two. So, yeah, I know I picked up a trash can lid in December of 90. I just had one of my best years in the end of 90, and I won again. And then I picked up a trash can lid and did something to my back. And 2 months later, I had a major back surgery, and I was never going to be a top 20 player again. I probably could have been a top 50, but my jock background would not allow me to bowl 15 weeks a year. I wasn't competitive.
Okay.
I just couldn't mentally get through that, or I was just going to be bad for a year. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah. We've got about we're at about halftime right now of our show, and I want to get into the part where we tell these folks who were nice enough to watch us live how they can enter to win a copy of the Games Changed video series. First of all, I want to remind them that it would be a good idea to subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. You can hover over that logo on the bottom right. It certainly helps me create content, and by hitting the notification bell, you can be the first to know when we go live and all that good stuff. Now, the thing that everybody's waiting for, they want to know how to enter to get a chance to win. So what I want you to do is, and this is going to push all the comments up, and it's going to make me hard, going to make it hard for me to get back to all of them. But if you are live and you are in that live chat, what you need to do is enter the hashtag changed. It can be either case. It can be all caps. It can be all lowercase. It can be some of each. Hashtag changed will get you entered into the drawing, and at the end of the show, we will have one lucky viewer winning a version of the Games Changed, and we will have that drawing right at the end. Mark, are you ready for some real talk? This is kind of the nitty-gritty of this kind of thing.
Fire away, bro.
If you remember, when we interviewed last, I asked you some questions about Stephanie Johnson, and in that, we, kind of used those little snippets during the Stephanie Johnson show on this channel called Blazing Star. Well, I tried to do the same thing again, and I got kind of a different result, so I'm just going to go with it. In the spirit of full disclosure, I have a partnership with a group called Ipsia, where I produce a series of videos called Hot Topics. I've referred to it on the show before. Mm-hmm. And during the latest Hot Topics, which went live Wednesday, we interviewed a gentleman named Ron Hoppy. And when I was done with the interview, I'm thinking to myself, hey, I've got Bakes coming on. They're both West Coast guys. Hey, Ron, what do you think of Bakes? And here's what he told me.
I don't think he likes me very well. We've had some serious disagreements along the way. And he's always been a good bowler. Let's see. I tried to convince him that Ipsy was a good deal. He didn't agree with me. And he has a right to his opinion. Okay. That's good, Mark. Go for it. I don't really know why.
Wow.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. You said it was at a trade show in 1994. Yeah.
He didn't really ask me. He told me I had to join. I'm pretty much a pushback type of person. I seem to be doing all right, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll put up my numbers against anybody in the country. So, I mean,
sure.
So I'm doing okay. But it's not, I'm not a kumbaya join up kind of guy. Mm-hmm. I've never asked for anybody's opinion. I never asked for anybody's help. I think to be a good coach, you have to have your own way of doing things, because if somebody goes off the reservation, you got to be able to answer the question. I have absolutely no problems with Ron. Before I bought Strike Seeker, if you'll remember, I called Ron to ask him his opinion of it. He said, Strike Seeker is amazing. You should get it. I've got it. So he remembers that way. To me, it was a conversation. I just said no. Sometimes, who knows what I said when I said it. But I have no problem with Ron. He does what he does, and I do what I do. But I don't think those things make me a better coach or a worse coach. So I'm all about just getting after it. I've never claimed to be the best coach. I don't want any part of that moniker. I've never tried to be that. I've never said that about myself ever once. I just want to be the busiest coach. Yeah. My goal as a coach is to help more bowlers than any other coach in the history of bowling. I mean, you got some big shoes. Tom Cora sold a lot of books. Dick Ritker did 1 million camps. Rod Ross helped a lot of people at the training center. Del Warren at the Kegel Training Center. There are some coaches that have had some unbelievably great runs as a coach. John Jowdy helped as many people as all of them. So I wrote a book. I did a DVD. I did the video series. I do the virtual lessons. I do my individual lessons. I've done 42 camp bakes. I've done other camps. I've done clinics with Chris Barnes all over the world. So I had my own game plan. And so my game plan didn't include that. So I've stuck to my game plan. You know, I go to my, the person who's the most successful person I know is my father. We put together a business plan. We stick to it. It's been very narrow. It's been very dedicated, and I make no apologies.
Yeah, for sure. So on that subject of, being the best coach or trying to be anyway, I asked Barry Asher about your journey in coaching.
You're going to get a completely different answer from this one.
And said, what's that all about? What did it take to make him where he's at? And he told me that Mark's journey to be considered the best coach in the sport is an easy answer. You cannot outwork him. He said he has dedicated himself to help make people better without trying to reinvent the wheel. He said, our feeling is if we make people of all ages enjoy the sport more, then they're going to keep bowling, and thus we have done our jobs.
100% correct answer. Barry's always been better at that than I have. But, Barry is the older brother I never had. So Barry's, one of my best friends in the world. And I go to Barry for a lot of advice. And the reason why I go to Barry is because he and I don't always see eye to eye. We don't agree on everything. But Barry's always got my best interest out from him. When I had a rough patch quite a few years ago. I put it this way: I've been clean and sober over 23 and a half years. Barry was very helpful in that when it happened. So Barry's 100% right. I like what I do. I tend to work a lot at it, but I really enjoy it, and people are always nice to me. So I feel bad that Ron thinks that. I have no ill feelings towards Ron. I just had a game plan. Maybe I could have said it better, probably, usually. But I had a game plan. I stuck with the game plan, and 15 years later, it's my busiest year ever. So obviously, whatever kind of French fries I'm selling, people like them.
They do. Wow. So was there kind of a gap in time between when you stopped on tour and when you started up coaching in the coaching business?
Yeah, I did some other things. I'm pretty quick. I'm never the smartest guy in the room by any means, but I'm never the dumbest either. Yeah. So I'm pretty quick. I did mortgages for a while. I got into finance, and I did that for about 7 years. And then I ran into some personal issues and had a bad run with some drugs, and got my life. I got lucky and got my life together again. And like I said, I'm very proud to be clean and sober. Today's the 4th, so it's 23 years and 8 months.
Wow.
So that was the biggest thing. I stay one day at a time. That's what I'm dedicated to. I've got 2 boys and a wife. My son, Gage, lives with me, and my other son, Miles, lives in Denver, and my wife, Shannon, and we have a pretty nice life. But it all starts with that. So I'm very, that's my thing. And then I just try to outwork everybody. Yeah. That's, I've asked hundreds of thousands of successful people I've coached, what is the number one thing you did to become successful? And it's always, I wasn't ever the best at what I did. I just came in an hour early and stayed an hour late. So like next Friday, I usually try to do 7 lessons a day. Next Friday, I start at 7 a.m. I'll come in at 6:30 to one of my juniors is home from college. I think I go till 8 o'clock that night. So I'll do a 13-hour day. Wow. And I'll take no breaks. And I'm 63 years old. But if I do the most coaching, I get better at it. I get better at communication. I talk better. I see it faster, and I see it pretty quick. So that was always my goal. My dad really had to, if you're going to do this, you have to do whatever an average number is, 500 lessons a year, or how are you going to do 2,000? Because you're 500, you're just one of many. So pick a number that's so dumb that nobody thinks you can do it. And then I did it for 14 years straight. So,
holy cow.
I did some different things. So I'm not trying to brag. I'm just trying to say I saw it different. I knew I was behind the 8 ball. I was an okay bowler on tour. I wasn't a very good spare shooter. So I had my foot in the door was very small. So I had to get better at coaching. And I did the clinic with Barry for 10 years. So I really worked hard. I didn't just show up here and do a video. Yeah. So I worked pretty hard to get where I'm at, but I don't consider it work because I like it. But I had to see it more than everybody else to get faster so I could do more work. So my dad saw it different than everybody else. So he's, there's a reason why certain people are successful. They're pretty smart. So if you listen to the right people, and I've got great people in my corner, my board of directors, as I put it, would be Ricky Corona probably. But more importantly, the 3 people I listen to probably the most, besides my wife, Barry Asher, Chris Barnes, and Dave Houston. I run every major decision by those 3. And the reason why I pick those 3 the most, because I get 3 different answers. As you can bet, the answer from Chris is never the one I want to hear. Chris is a little brother. I never had a chance to kick his ass every week. Now, Chris and I hung out together. We would love each other, but every once in a while, I'd have to pop him in the chest to get his attention.
Yeah.
Chris and I butt heads hard, but my God, is he a smart man. Mm-hmm. So I want to go to Chris because I want to have a different opinion than I would ever have. Now, Barry's like my older brother I never had. So Barry's going to see it as an older, he's just going to see it different than I. And then I've got my best friend in the world, Dave Husted, who pretty much agrees with whatever I say. Dave is not the right guy to go to for, like if I was going to go on a killing spree and I said, Dave, I think I'm going to go out there and just, well, now have you thought about it? Yes, Dave, I thought about it. So have you got a game plan?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, Dave's, he goes, I'm never going to try to talk you out of anything because you're so hard-headed. I can't. That was probably a terrible analogy, but Dave's just my best friend in the world. He believes in me. So I got my board of directors, Ricky's calm, a guy named Anthony Santos I talk to a lot. So I'm always feeling out different people. Mark Sullivan in Indianapolis I talk to a lot. I have a friend in Modesto named Scott Bartlow I run things by. Always by my wife, hopefully first and last. But I have a real specific group that I'm constantly running all my ideas through. Lately, I've been talking to Chris Vi a lot. Very smart guy besides being a great bowler. Yeah. So some of these people have different points of view, and I try to take them all in and try to figure out the next game plan of my business.
Yeah. You mentioned Anthony Santos. I'm glad you talked to him a lot because I had the opportunity to exchange a few messages with him. He was the project manager on the video. He says that it was a wild ride. Let me tell you, Bakes and I probably clocked in around 1,000 hours each on this thing. He said, we've gone through a forest's worth of notes and consumed enough coffee to fill a swimming pool. That's a lot.
It was, when you say something's a labor of love.
Yeah.
It was a great, the goofy idea is I'm standing in line. I can tell you where I was. Standing in line to go on Pinocchio at Disneyland, June of 2022.
Okay.
So I'm like, I got to engage. My son knows, Mom, Dad's staring in the ceiling. He has an idea for another project. And they both hate when I do projects because I lose my mind. So I start out. Of course, I text Dave, hey, I'm going to do a senior thing for my next idea. You're going to be the model, right? Dave's like, of course. So I guess the next person I actually text was Daniel McEwen in line. Hey, I want you to be one of my models. Mark, I'm 100% in. Then I had to flesh it all out. Then I figured out I really wanted to do the two-handed thing. Yeah. I really have coached him for so long. I started with Wesley Lowe when he was 10. So I've been around the two-handed thing since it started. And I always bought in. I thought it was just another delivery method. As Dave Husted puts it, we're all two-handed. Some of us take our left hand off a little earlier than others.
Yeah. That's
all Dave says. So I knew I had the idea and I got Anthony involved. And then it just became overwhelming. And then I got financially kind of behind the eight ball, a little bit behind it. So we couldn't stop because there was too much money involved. So a lot of nights in this, we would come here to start working at 7. We would leave at 10, 10:30, 11. And we would literally try to move the needle 1%. Like, did we get anything done today? Well, we know we're not going that way anymore. We're going to go this way. And then we'd have the nights where we were ready to click. Anthony learned how to edit. So it took a lot of man hours and figuring out how they bowled and how I say it and get it all to match and then film it again. And crazy. Just if I had to do it over again, I'm not sure I would do it. But now that I've done it and now it's doing pretty well, it's pretty regular on the sales every day. And like I said, the response has been good. I'm so happy I did do it. But I know if the next time I try to do a project, my family is not going to vote. I don't think I got any more projects in me, tell you the truth.
It always kind of comes down to family, doesn't it?
I took away too much time.
Yeah.
I was in this training center 4 nights a week for a solid 9 months.
I didn't know what I was going to get with Anthony either. I don't know him, but he really gave me some great insight, and I want to read some more of it. He says, one of the most notable challenges for me was figuring out how to get Bake's wisdom across to our production team. He says, you know how it is trying to translate genius into something everyone can understand. He said that Bakes has been his coach for almost 15 years, and everything he's achieved in bowling during that time is thanks to you. So when you asked for his help with the video series, he said he was all in. He said, our mission was simple: help as many bowlers as we could, and having that goal kept us pushing forward even when things got tough. And, the tough parts he outlined, and this was interesting to me because I'm kind of a video production guy. I do that professionally. He mentioned that the video guy almost missed out on the whole thing because of a hurricane back home in Florida.
Yep.
He said they had a hard drive crash and a scramble to save footage. He said the video guy ended up hurting his hand and the editing was delayed. And then he talked about a rush to Vegas to hand deliver the final footage to the video guy. And that's, of course, all the stuff that you're never going to see on the final cut, right?
So Curtis Von Kruger was the editor, and he's the one that filmed all my scenes. So it was that last summer, and when all, we decided the planes weren't going to work for anybody. I had this one window that we could do it. I've already spent a bunch of money on all the flights to get them out here.
Yeah.
My family's in Hawaii on vacation. I've already filmed all the pros. See, the problem was, not the problem, the good part, the pros knocked it out of the park their 2 days here.
Yeah.
Belmonte, Simonson, Husted, Danielle Prather. I couldn't have asked for 2 better days of work from 5 professional people. And Simon and Belmo, I don't know what got into those 2 guys, but they just flat put it on them for 2 days. It was pretty amazing seeing how good these guys could be on command. So we knew we had something good. So we're going to film my parts over and above it. So Curtis is going to fly out from Florida. He has to get here like on midnight on Friday. We're going to work all day Saturday, all day Sunday, fly on Monday. They got here Saturday at 5 in the afternoon. I don't know how they got to LA. So Saturday we filmed like for an hour. So Sunday was on. We filmed for 12 hours straight. And when you're trying to get those in chunks, if I'm talking and then the air conditioning cuts on, you got to stop talking. If I'm talking and it's July, it's hot in here and the sweat's running down my face, you got to stop and start over. And then I would drop 3 or 4 F-bombs in there. Probably those aren't going to make the cut. So it was impossible. Then I would get done and Curtis like, I think you got one more in you. I'm like, no, I don't have any more in me. That's it. Do it again. So he really did his job. We did that. As soon as he got home, everything's great. We filmed it. I go to Hawaii and the 8 terabyte thing crashed. We had to get it replaced. We didn't lose anything. Anthony had backed it all up. Now we're in the editing. Things are going good. I'm on my way to the San Fernando Valley to give lessons. Curtis calls. He goes, hey, look at your phone. I sent you a picture. He had taken one of those things called a mandolin, things that slice. Those should not be legal to be used by humans. He cut his entire palm off, making his daughter fruit for school. So I'm like, yeah, that's his right. Is that your right hand? He goes, yeah. The mouse may not work too good for a couple weeks.
Oh my gosh.
So then he's out here in Vegas doing the team trials, I think. So then Anthony's like, I got to get this done by him. So those 2 went out. Oh my God. So those are the things we told you about. That's not all the times that, Anthony wanted to throw me through the wall. I am, you saw what Ron Hoppy thought of me. So I can be a little tough to deal with. And I may, like I said, it is who I am. And I'm not proud of that. I'm tough. I'm not easy to deal with. Yeah. Now, my people that I coach would never know that, but I'm hard. Yeah. So I feel bad for my son Gage, who's I'm his coach, I'm his dad. That's tough. But I know exactly what I wanted to put in this thing. So Anthony was like, well, that's pretty good. I'm like, no, that's not it. You're missing by 1 frame. The arm swing has to be here when my voice says this. And he would just get up and get some more coffee. Like, can you give me 10 minutes? Sure, dude, I'll go walk around. He'd come back and he'd have it done. So he figured out me pretty quick that I just wasn't going to back off what I believe, but he had to explain to me what he was doing. So it was quite the give and take. And I know he spent way too much time with me away from his family. For that, I can never repay him. But we did put out a pretty damn good product. And that's the part that I'm proud of. It's been out 2 months. And so far, it's doing better and better every week. And the response from the bowlers has been amazing. Yeah. So if we can help as many bowlers as possible, whether you're senior, female, one-handed, or two-handed, then I think we accomplished our goal. Then it makes all the craziness worthwhile. And I'll be spending way more. Like tomorrow night, I think if I take my family to Disneyland again, just random now. Anytime they want to go, I just say yes. Because last year even when I was with them, I wasn't with them. My brain I finally found my overload number, and I was doing too much. But It got done. If I didn't go crazy, it wouldn't have got done. So I'm happy I did it.
Yeah. Anthony went on to say, despite all the craziness, we did it. We set out to help the bowlers. It looks like we're making a difference, judging by the feedback we're getting. Of course, there's this moment in the senior video where Bakes talks about Father Time is undefeated, as you've already said here tonight. It hit home for us because it's not just about bowlers. It's about Bakes too. And you kind of alluded to that a little bit during this conversation is maybe this is kind of the last project of this type. What should we know about how much longer you're going to be doing this, future plans, things like that?
Well, I know for a fact I'm coaching another 4.5 years.
Okay.
My son's going to be a ninth grader next year. He's going to be a freshman in high school. Obviously, living in Southern California, not the cheapest place I could live. So obviously I need to keep working. And I do. I mean, I like to think I'm a young 63. So I really enjoy what I do. I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. But there will become a time when then the things I say don't matter. I mean, I don't care who you are as a coach. Sooner or later, your words don't resonate with the next group. I've worked very hard. Like in the one-handed video, I came up with some new terms that nobody ever heard because I want to keep reinventing myself, because the worst thing I can be is bored. If I'm bored, I'm not in. I'm so in on my lessons right now. Everything's clicking pretty good. So yeah, but there's a finite time to how long you can coach. I mean, part of what I think I'm good at is the energy I bring. I'm up because I'm all in. My people are all in. My camps, they have a lot of energy. So I'm pretty much up every day. There's not too many days I'm down. And if it is, it won't be at work. I mean, I just can't, you can't spend what you spend with me and me not be all in. So I pretty much bring it every day. So how much longer do I get to do that? Father Times, they're not going to give you, hey, by the way, in 6 years and 1 day, you're done.
Right.
It'll just happen like, wow, Baker doesn't have it. Or, I've always asked, like, how much longer will Camp Bakes go? And then Robin Romeo said, well, I know exactly how long camp will go. And I was like, wow, how do you know? She goes, there'll be a camp when you don't have energy. I'm like, wow, never had that. She goes, and then there'll be a second camp where you don't have energy. There won't be a third one. Like, wow, that was pretty profound. And so every time I think about that, the next camp I get to, I make sure the first day I got energy. I don't want Robin to let me know that I'm on my way down. So I will stick to that. Like next camp is April 23rd to 26th. Nobody's more excited about this camp. This project's over. I get to focus on camp. It's sold out. I got a great group coming. Everything's going good. I can't wait to get to camp and get after it.
Yeah. Anthony mentioned something about Moneyball and kind of alluding to some of the stuff in that movie, and what you said reminded me of the, we're all told we can't play the children's game anymore. Some of us are told at 21, others at 40, but we're all told.
Yeah, I mean, right now with the video series and in the virtual lessons and what I do, my name's pretty good. I work pretty hard at it, and I'm pretty good at what I do. And the people keep emailing me and they keep calling me. The last couple of weeks has been Washington, Ohio, Eastern Washington, Northern California, Texas. They keep coming out. I got more people showing up. I got my regulars that come in from Ireland. I got a guy for this thing about coming over from New Zealand. I got some other guy coming from Europe this summer. So I'm still pretty relevant as a coach. So, I mean, I don't know how long I get to do that. So the way I look at it, today was 6 lessons and I ran them all over is how I put it. Every day I look at my list. Tomorrow I only have 3, kind of a half day. I got some other things to do. I will run those 3 lessons over. And then on Thursday I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I got 40 next week. So those next 60 lessons, I'm running them over. There'll be nobody said I went to take a lesson and Bakes wasn't in. So every day I think that I have to, so that's kind of the 1 day at a time thing for me being sober. Every day I coach is 1 day at a time. So I have to crowbar them tomorrow to have the opportunity to get a chance to coach that same group again. Yeah, I have to do my job. And then your reputation is as good as it takes to walk in. Hi, my name is Mark. Then you got to work. Then you got to coach. Then you got to help people. So I really try to stick to that every day. And if I apologize to anybody that came here didn't get a good experience, but I really go out of my way to make sure, because then the lesson's fun for me. If I'm up, they're up. So that's kind of how I see it. So I don't know how much longer. I would like to coach till, I don't plan on retiring ever. I just may not coach as much, but I know the next 5.5 years, I'm going to get after it. And then when I get to 70, we'll figure some things out maybe. Or my wife will say that's enough. Or she'll say, no, you don't need to be home all day. You can go back to work.
There you go. I do want to remind folks as we kind of get toward the end here to, if you haven't already, get entered into the giveaway, the drawing. Looks like we got 12 already. Enter in the hashtag changed into the live chat. to get entered for your chance to win. We will be giving away a code for one of the two The Game's Changed videos tonight. Want to get to a couple other questions first. Derek says, if you were to go on a killing spree, who is first? I hope to never see you on Investigation Discovery. Wow.
I knew when I said that was a bad analogy. No, I don't plan on doing that. That was just a metaphor for Dave never questioning what I do.
There you
It was
go.
more about Dave Husted just being my best friend more than about anything else. Something I could go on, whatever I want to do. I'm not going on a killing spree.
Good. JP wants to know, do you have any philosophy differences with any notable coaches like Jazz Now, Warren, etc.? And how do you go about coaching bowlers who have had other coaches in their ear?
Well, just about everybody I coach. I'm losing you a little bit on your audio.
I think so.
Almost everybody I've been to has been to another coach, so I don't really. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I know Mike Jazz now does a good job because.
Yep, I think we're losing you a little bit.
He's been doing it.
Mark, you're getting a little
long at the when he does the nationals. He sets up
there we go.
and he sees everybody. Moving again.
Yeah, Mark.
Hey, I'm back.
Yeah, I think we were losing you a little bit there, getting kind of garbled. Mark, can you hear me? Mark, you may need to relaunch your browser. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the connection here, but if you want to try and relaunch your browser.
Here we go.
Oh, there you go. Better? Oh, maybe not. Technical difficulties certainly happen in this thing, but yeah, maybe he can get connected there. I do want to, as while he's kind of getting himself set there, I do want to remind folks to put #changed into the chat window, the live chat. And this technical difficulty is brought to you by the Coach K Scholarship. I have this standing thing with Steve Klemkin about his scholarship effort. He does a scholarship for Wichita State students. You can see kind of half of the what was I going to say? The URL there. Underneath the ticker. It's bit.ly/Coach K Scholarship. It is case sensitive, so the C is capitalized, the K is capitalized, and so is the S. The rest are lowercase, and you can kind of see the bowling pin there. That's the one that I have in the background here. You always see it on Bowling with the Fef. He was kind enough to send that over to me, and he occasionally gives away things like that. So figured, why not? That looks a little better.
Wow, that was weird, huh?
That's all right. Let me see if I'm going to try and get that other one. Well, why not mess with it?
So the original question was the other coaches.
Yeah.
Everybody's had another coach, so that doesn't bother me. And
Okay.
Some of those guys are very, very good. Mike Jasnow's excellent. Dell does a good job. Steve Ritker, Mike Chady, Rod Ross, a lot of good coaches in the country.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see what else. That was Greg says that was a hilarious analogy. Great way to say Dave has your back. Derek says he knew you weren't going to kill anybody.
Perfect.
Stephanie wants to know if you will come to Cumberland, Maryland.
No, this is all about finances. I do this for a living. So I've been to Fort Meade to do clinics 3 times with Mike Sinek and John Gaines.
Okay.
but I have no immediate plans to go back east.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, we are already over an hour, so why don't we give away this code for the Games Changed video series? Remember, you've got your choice of the one-handed version or the two-handed version. Looks like we got 13 entries here. And if you don't win tonight, you can always find this video series at markbakerbowling.com. Here we go. Let's see who it's going to be. And it is JP who has entered in a bunch of comments, including the one that we just read. So congratulations, JP. If you want to shoot me an email, we can figure this out. I'm assuming Mark gets me the code. I get you the code.
Yep, 100%.
Okay. And yeah, so congratulations. Thanks so much for watching us live and all that good stuff, and enjoy the video. Mark, we end out every live show that we do by going off the sheet. And that's where I ask you to challenge somebody else. Doesn't have to be the greatest bowler in the world, but certainly can. We look for people who are, passionate about the sport of bowling and have a unique story to tell to be on a future episode of Bowling with the Fef. So, Mark Baker, who would you like to challenge?
Oh, you should probably pick the opposite of me. You should probably get Dave Husted.
Okay.
And I think you've already had Joe Hutchison, right?
I have.
Okay, so Joe's pretty good. Somebody who's really good at coaching and is a great guy, but great in our sport? Doug Kent.
Yeah. Well, hey, either one, Dave, Doug, if you're watching this and you're interested in taking Mark up on his challenge, I would be happy to bring either of you on. You can find me on Facebook. I'm Andrew Pfeffer, or you can email bowlingwiththefef@yahoo.com. We will certainly make that happen. Our next live stream coming up a week from tonight, Tuesday, March 12th, 7 p.m. Central. We're going to talk with Steve Bulanda of RotoWire. We're going to get into the betting of PBA bowling. So a topic that's been pretty hot in recent weeks and months. So he'll be on to talk about that and share his bowling story as well. Mark, it has been a pleasure. It always is a pleasure talking with you. Congratulations on the success on the video series, and let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, it's markbakerbowling.com. If you want to do a virtual lesson, you want to buy the video series. An easy way to look at that, if you want to find out if I'm the right coach for you, you don't always want to find just the most well-known coach. You want to find a coach that matches up to you. If you buy one of my videos, whether you're one-handed or two-handed, you'll definitely see how I see it. I include a lot of lane play, but you'll see my style, how I talk, the things I look at. So if that is something you like, then either a virtual lesson or coming out to the training center. And if you're hardcore and you love bowling more than life itself, Camp Bakes is a thing for you.
Yeah. And that usually sells out pretty fast.
It's been selling out for 18 years. So this is our 42nd camp.
Okay.
So I don't think I have the right date on my website, but I've got 36 signed up. I don't apologize for doing well. People give me a hard time. I don't update or send them emails. Like I sell out. So it's kind of a cool thing. I don't talk about it much, but it's definitely a hardcore bowling community. And all I can say is if you love bowling, there'll be 35 other bowlers in that room that love it just as much as you, with 6 other coaches that love it just as much as me. So you got something unique. I don't brag about it. If you come to it, you see what it is, and it runs itself.
Yeah, there you go. MarkBakerBowling.com is the place. Thanks again, everybody, for watching, both live and on replay. Always appreciated, and we will see you again next week.